Welcome back. Today, we're cracking open some really thought-provoking sources,
Mhm.
taking a dive into cryptocurrency, but maybe not how you usually think about it. We're looking at this idea of crypto as religion,
Yeah, it's definitely a different lens.
right? Asking if this thing we see as tech or, an investment might actually be functioning more like a belief system for a lot of people involved.
It's fascinating. And the sources aren't saying, like, crypto is a literal religion, with deities and stuff,
No, not
but
that.
they're highlighting the parallels, how it acts like one, functionally speaking, for quite a few adherents.
Okay.
So our mission today is basically to unpack those comparisons the sources make. What are the core arguments? What are these surprising connections?
Let's dig in then. The sources seem to break it down using like the building blocks you find in many belief systems.
Things like faith, community.
Exactly. Faith, community, rituals, having a shared story. And they find these echoes, sometimes pretty strong ones, in the crypto space. What jumped out at me first was this idea of faith, but faith in what? The sources say faith in the code.
Right. It's this deep trust, sometimes an almost absolute trust in mathematics, in algorithms.
In the blockchain being immutable.
Exactly. And it's often positioned against trust in, traditional human institutions, banks, governments.
So it's like a belief in decentralization itself as something fundamentally good or
Yeah.
true.
That's what the sources suggest, yeah. A core tenet.
And this isn't just individuals believing alone, is it? The community aspect seems huge.
Oh, definitely. The sources really emphasize that. People connecting across the globe.
Not based on where they live, but on the shared belief in the code and what it can do.
Yeah, a really powerful sense of shared identity. A collective mission almost built around this technology, believing in a different way the world could run.
Okay, and then the rituals. This part was pretty interesting. The sources point to everyday crypto actions taking on this like devotional quality.
Like checking price charts constantly.
Yeah. They likened it to prayer beads in one source, or, meticulously setting up your limit orders before going to sleep, almost like a quiet meditation.
And the language, too. You mentioned HODL.
Right, hold on for dear life, basically. Started as a typo, now it's like gospel for some.
Or phrases like, in code we trust. It's all over the place.
The sources even suggest that for some, studying white papers feels a bit like studying scripture.
Or sending crypto is like contributing to the offering plate, maybe. In this digital church idea, it's about giving these mundane tech actions a sort of deeper meaning.
And every belief system needs its story, right? Its origin myth.
The sources definitely pick up on that with Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto.
This mysterious, maybe non-existent founder whose white paper becomes the, foundational text.
Yeah, a text that spread globally,
Yeah.
sparking this massive belief and, of course, skepticism, too.
And that narrative often frames it as, the early believers versus the old financial system.
A kind of David and Goliath, new and pure versus old and corrupt. It's a really motivating story, helps bind that community.
So why are people drawn to this perspective? Is it just about the money? The sources argue probably not.
Seems like it taps into something deeper for many. A dissatisfaction, maybe, with how things are currently run. A search for meaning or control.
Agency, yeah.
They frame it as, for some, it's not just about financial freedom, but almost like a spiritual liberation.
Liberation from systems they see as, what? Broken. Untrustworthy.
Right. And in a world where maybe trust is low, the blockchain, being transparent and supposedly immutable, can feel like, well, like a new foundation you can trust, a new kind of sacred text, perhaps.
And this isn't just theoretical talk according to the sources. You see actual groups trying to formalize it.
Yeah, like the Church of Bitcoin, registering in California, things like that, or people using religious-sounding titles.
Or just the sentiment you see online sometimes, where selling your cranes is talked about like it's betrayal or sinning against the cause.
It really highlights that for a core group, this is way beyond speculation. It's about belief, identity, building something different.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? The core idea from these sources is that, for many involved, crypto is doing more than just acting like tech or finance.
Yeah, it's got these strong elements of faith, community, ritual, a shared story, mirroring in function how traditional religions operate for people.
It's often seen as being about meaning, about belief, sometimes even more than about the financial side.
And recognizing this isn't about saying crypto is religion, full stop, or judging it.
Right.
It's more about understanding the passion
Hmm.
the dedication, that sometimes almost evangelical energy you see driving the space.
It definitely gives you a different frame for looking at the whole crypto phenomenon. So here's a final thought to chew on, something these sources make you consider. If we start viewing crypto partly through this lens of belief, not just as tech or an asset, how might that influence its future, its development, regulation, and how widely it gets adopted? Does that belief aspect change the game regardless of the tech's merits? Something to think about.